And everybody, welcome to another edition of the Arkansas Football Report with Otis Kirk. I'm Jason Pattison. Otis, how you doing today, man?
Doing good. I can barely hear you, man.
All right, how about now? Hold on just a second here.
Can't hear you.
All right, how about now? Is this any better?
A little bit better.
How about now?
Okay.
Are you able to hear me okay?
Some, yeah.
All right, yeah, we're just still trying to figure out some issues here. But we are live here at Torchys and Rogers. I want to thank everybody for jumping on with us today. And make sure to check out Torchys Tacos here in Rogers. Make sure to also check out their their taco of the month, I should say. I'm going to post it right here. It's called The American. And come check out their full service bar, all on top of all the great tacos that they have here on the menu. Check out their house-made queso that's made daily as well. They also have locations here in Rogers off Pauline Whitaker Parkway and also off MLK in Fayetteville. So go check out either one of the two Torchies and enjoy some damn good tacos. So, Otis, how you been, man?
Doing good. You?
I'm doing pretty good. I know it's been about a week since we kind of met up again. We've had some, we've had SEC Media Days kind of wrap up. I want to talk about, Sam's approach on the podium whenever he was up there, because it happened kind of really before we were able to, after we got on last week. Also want to talk a little bit about the expansion of scholarships, focus on football today, and just a few other things. I want to throw out put up some comments. Blood Diamond Entertainment, what's up, fellas? Jeremy Knapp, hey. Mike Kepsky, the start of the show is like KJ last year. Okay, yeah, we're gonna move on for that one. And we're still trying to figure it out a little bit, but we're getting there. So, last week, whenever Sam took the podium, he took the podium of a guy that really was more relaxed, more than anything else, and that's what I was really kind of taken by, because some guys that are on the hot seat, they're up there and they're a little bit, frazzled. They know that it's kind of on the way out a little bit, but Sam didn't feel that way, it looked like.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he's too worried about that. He feels like he's going to have a really good football team this year, and he knows if he doesn't, then he's going to be gone. But, I mean, I don't know. Sam's the point in his life. I don't think he's going to sweat out, something that, he's going to go out there and try to put the best product on the field. And if it's good enough, it will be. If it's not, then not a whole lot he can do. I mean, kind of the hay's in the barn a little bit to speak. I mean, in the sense that the roster's set, and, and so he's, I mean, there's not much to sweat. I mean, he's going to get these coaches, if they get fired, they get a good buyout. I mean, it's not like common man. If they get fired, they get a buyout. They move on. I do know Sam would love to go out on his own, on accord, not get fired, just, go out when he wants to go out. He's not ready to quit yet. So
no,
we'll see what happens. But I think they're going to be okay. I don't know how good they're going to be. I think they're going to at least win 7 games. I mean, I'll be surprised if they don't win 7. They've got the talent to win 7 or more. They're going to have to do it on the field, and they got to win these close games. That's killed them the last few years, is these close losses. I mean, they've mounted up, they've added up, and you've got to win some of those. You can't lose them all. You got to win your share, and that's where I think Bobby Petrino comes in handy. I think he will help make a difference in some of those games, those close losses.
I mean,
they're not going to lose 7-3 to Mississippi State this year.
No. Honestly, you could. I'm not going to play shoulda, coulda, woulda, but I mean, you could say that there's an easy possibility that you don't know what could happen. I mean, there's a small difference between 4-8 and 9-3, and I know people are going to think I'm crazy, but I think you're kind of more on board with me on that than what some people are.
No, I mean, it's a margin. I remember when Auburn won the national championship, I wrote a story about that.
Yeah,
and they went undefeated. I think they had 8 games decided by 7 points or less, and they won them all. Cam Newton had a big hand in that, but that's where you've got to be, and it requires some luck too. You know, you got to be lucky to win something. Okay, I remember that year Cam Newton threw a ball in the last closing seconds to the closing minute to the Mississippi State linebacker, hit him right in the hands, and he dropped it. If he catches it, it's a touchdown. They lose to Mississippi State, and the guy dropped it, and he hit him right in the hands. Cam did. So I mean, there's luck involved, and when you say they're lucky, people think that's a shot at them, but it's not. You've got to be lucky in this day and age. You got to be good, but you got to be lucky too, and just being good is because basically everybody in the SEC is pretty good. But you got to be lucky. You got to be good, and you got to make good decisions. And there were some times I think Sam last year, I think he missed Odom more than. And that first year, people said that, and I scoffed about it. I said, "No, I don't think." But I admitted about halfway through the season, I think he really did. But that's where I think Petrino comes in handy there too. I think when Sam has a decision to make, I think he will lean on Bobby. He leaned on Barry when he was here, and I think he'll lean on Bobby. And Bobby's been one of the most successful head coaches in the country. So, you know, I mean, to have him to lean on is pretty doggone good. So I think they're going to be pretty good this year. I don't think Sam's going to get fired. Now, I mean, he's got to win games. Yeah. And 5 and 7, 4 and 8 is not going to do it. But I think we'll know a lot. I think we'll know a lot by the end of September.
I think we will too, because
5 games there, and I think you'll know a lot.
5 games, but also 5 different venues between on the road at Jerry World, at Auburn, Oklahoma State, at home here at Razorback Stadium, and also at War Memorial.
Yeah, it's crazy. 5 places, 5 venues, 5 different places, 5 games. Yeah, I mean, they're not going. But if they can get through that, and that's why I say I think we'll know a lot. If they get through that, they only leave Fayetteville twice the rest of the season, and they've got buys before Texas, before LSU. And I will say this about Sam Pittman. His teams have never lost after a bye week.
Yep.
I don't know if people know that or not, but they've never lost after a bye week. And they only leave Fayetteville twice. That's go to Missouri and go to Mississippi State.
Yeah.
And Mississippi State's a very winnable ball game. I don't care where it's at. It's a very winnable game.
Yep.
And so I think if you can come out of that 3-2 or better, you know, you come out of that September 3-2 or better, then I think they're set up to be okay this season.
I think they are too. One of the things that I also noticed that not a lot of people have put a lot of stock into quite yet is the amount of time that your quarterback is spending with your offensive line. Last year, you didn't see it.
Yeah.
We're still a week away from camp, and you've got Taylor Green hanging out with the offensive line over at a rodeo in Springdale. And not only that, those are some bonding times. Those are not asked by the coaches. I mean, those are some natural.
No, Taylor's a leader, and KJ just wasn't. And and honestly, some of the kids didn't like KJ last year, and that's not a shot at KJ. I like KJ, but I'm just telling you, it's fact. Some of the players didn't, and he wasn't the leader that Taylor is. Taylor's a natural born leader, man, and that's go. And I felt like last year they were missing a lot of leadership. And I think Landon Jackson, Taylor Green, but Taylor's just a natural. I think Landon's more maybe do as I do type player, but Taylor's this natural born leader, man. And I think some of these guys, I think Armstrong can be a leader. I think they're in pretty good shape. I really do. I just think this is going to be a pretty good football team. And as I said, we'll know more at the end of September. So but if they're 3-2 or better, watch out.
Friday morning, whenever the preseason rankings by the national pundits and also the media that was there, they had voted Arkansas on the bottom third to finish in the conference. Now, how many times has Arkansas actually finished at the top third of the conference when they were actually voted bottom third of the conference?
Yeah, Arkansas's worst seasons are when they have been picked to win it or been picked real high. I don't know if they've been picked to win the SEC, but I remember the old days, Southwest Conference, when they were picked high, they usually didn't do well. But I don't think Arkansas will finish 14th in the SEC. But I'll tell you one thing that kind of went with that. They had one player on the All-SEC top 3 teams, and that was Landon Jackson.
Yep.
You've got to have more than one player. If you don't, you're going to be lucky to finish 14th. I'm just telling you. But there's about 5, 6, 7, 8 players can get in that top 3. And I had a story on 5 of them. And I put Taylor Green there. And admittedly, that's a long shot because you know darn well the kid at Georgia and the kid at Texas are locks if they don't get hurt.
Yeah.
And so it basically might come down to would Taylor Green beat out Milroe?
Yeah.
And that's what it may come down. But guys like Armstrong, Fernando Carmona, I think is a definite all SEC guy. Carmona, I think they missed the boat there. I didn't even put Josh Bryan. I think he's a possibility. Cameron Ball is a possibility. I think Xavier Sorey would not surprise me. I don't think I had him in the story. Jalen Braxton can be in the top 3 all SEC. Bottom line is you got to have more than one player in all SEC top 3 teams. And I'm not saying they were wrong with that. I'm just saying some of these players have got to emerge where they will be top 3 all SEC. I'm not questioning the voting. That's fine if that's how they felt. But I do think but I don't expect people at Auburn and Alabama and LSU and all of them to know about Fernando Carmona. No. But that's a guy, I'm telling you, if he doesn't get hurt, Fernando Carmona will be all SEC this year. I promise you that. I can guarantee you he will be. And I think they've got others, but that's one guy I think he's every bit the lock that Landon Jackson is. They just don't know about him like they do Landon.
Well, and you have Bobby Petrino's offense with the spacing that they have. I know we've talked about this 100 times, but the reason why we talked about it was because how applicable it is on the turnaround for Sam and the offense this season, because there's a possibility you may have Jaquindon Jackson as maybe a second or third team all SEC, but this is a possibility where you have one guy on preseason and then a handful or two handfuls at the end of the season.
Yeah, and I left off Luke Hayes. Luke Hayes, the tight end. Luke Hayes, I'm telling you, he is all. Luke and Fernando are all SEC. Yeah. In top 3, they are A-star. I mean, Luke got hurt last year. I don't care. But Luke has and Fernando Carmona should be in the top 3 all SEC right now. But they didn't vote him there, and that's fine. But bottom line is Arkansas needs to get like 6, 7, 8 kids in that top 3 all SEC team and to be a legitimate team. And I think they can. It's going to require a lot of guys playing their best ball. And I don't know if Taylor Green can be there, but I put him on there just simply because I think he's going to have a great season.
I really do. I agree with you.
Whether it'll be all 3, like I said, you got kid at Georgia and the kid at Texas, yours and they're automatics. The kids Georgia and Texas are if they stay healthy. So you're basically talking one team. And to me, it'd probably come down to Milroe or Taylor Green.
Yeah, and if that's the case, then that means that Arkansas is winning possibly 7, maybe 8 games. And now you're looking at a possibility where you might even be able to kind of edge your way into the New Year's 6.
Yeah, to get multiple players, I like 6, 7 kids on all SEC top 3 team. You're going to have to win 6, 7 or 8 ball games. Yeah, you're just going to have to do that. I mean, they're not going to. A 4 and 8 team's not going to get 7 or 8 players on there. It's just not. If you have 7 or 8 all SEC players, you shouldn't be going 4 and 8. So that's the bottom line. And I do think these guys are legit, like Luke has and Fernando Carmona and Landon Jackson. There's 3 legit all SEC players. I'm just telling you. And then Josh Braun. I'm not Cameron Ball. I've named them. I mean, like Xavier Sorey. I mean, Jalen Braxton. Those are legit players, man. I mean, but it's going to take winning some games, them playing well, and there may be 1 or 2 emerge that we're not even talking about or don't have them on there right now. I mean, that's the thing. People can emerge during the season,
Yep. Also, I want to put on here really quick, Michael Kevsky. I think Arkansas can beat Oklahoma State, and that will make the team super confident. And that could be big going into Auburn too, as well.
Well, if you could go into Auburn 3-0, it'd be huge because Auburn's beatable. They're good.
Yeah.
And Hugh Freeze seems to have Sam's number, but if you go into Auburn 3-0, you should have pretty good confidence going. Beating Oklahoma State, I remember South Alabama went up there last year and beat them pretty good, spanked them like 33-7, and so they can be beat, but they're going to play well. They'll get Arkansas play. They'll play better against the Hogs than they did South Alabama. So, but I mean, the Hogs usually get somebody's best shot, but we'll see how it works out. But yeah, if they go 3-0, start the season, they're going to be set in pretty good shape. I can tell you that right now.
Yep. You could also cartwheel that into the A&M game because there's always some weird, funky stuff that always happens that is not supposed to happen, and it's one of those things you just have to kind of wait and see. But if they are able to go into that A&M game 3-1 or 4-0, I mean, there's no telling what the ceiling could be because Sam's talked about it before. Whenever he was up on the podium, he said there's been 3 times that we've been in the top 10 in September and then tailed off at the end.
Yeah.
He said, we have to finish. And he made a very valid point with that, too, because if they don't finish, he's cooked.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, you can get the momentum early, but I think with this team, though, I think it's a little bit different. I think if they can start off pretty hot, this team, I don't think you'll see the tailspin at the end. Simply one reason, because the way the schedule's set up, you've got, you're set up with all these road games to start out with. And now they're going to play better at home than they did last year. They stunk at home last year. Let's be honest. They stunk in Fayetteville last year. So you can't do that. You can't be getting blown out at home like they did last year. They did not play well at Fayetteville. But what did they win? One game in Fayetteville last year. I think they beat Kent State or whatever.
Yeah, it was Kent State off that.
And it wasn't really an impressive win. They lost to BYU, and then they lost all the FC. That's a 7-3 game, and then they got blown out by Missouri and Auburn. So, you got to play better at home. You've got to win your share of the home games because you're not going to win all the road games. But I do think if this team can get out of September with a winning record, be it 3-2, 4-1, whatever, I think they'll be okay. If they don't, if they're 2-3, then, it may be an uphill climb. But it's still doable at 2-3, but you're really looking at a tougher road.
So we watched Sam on the podium last Thursday. What were your takeaways from how he kind of handled the media, but also with his responses? How did you feel like he was? Did you feel like he was a guy on the hot seat? Did you feel like he wasn't a guy on the hot seat? How did you feel about that?
I just felt like he was a guy up there answering questions best he could and was relaxed. And I don't think he didn't seem to me like he was too worried about being on a hot seat. I've talked to Sam off the record over there, and Sam knows he's got to win this year. It's that simple. And but you sit and get ulcers, and you got to go out. You got to get your team ready to play. And I don't think Sam's going to sit and lose a lot of sleep over how they play. I think he's going to have them prepared and go out there and let them play the best, and and hope for the best. I didn't see anything different. I thought he was relaxed. I didn't feel like at times I felt like last year he got kind of testy and standoffish, when they were losing. Yeah. And it's understandable. He was getting some tough questions.
Yeah.
And, and he got a little standoffish at times. I didn't feel like that Thursday. I'm sorry, not Saturday. Last Thursday, they were up there. I believe it was Thursday. A week ago today, they were on the podium. And I didn't feel like he was standoffish at all. Yeah. I just thought he relaxed, answered the questions as honestly as he could, and gave straight answers. I didn't feel like he BS'd you or BS'd the answers or really. I just felt like he answered them honestly and straightforward and pretty much the way you would want it handled. I thought he handled it pretty well, or real well, actually.
Yeah. And so, I want to also talk about the guys that Sam did bring in to media days for just a couple minutes. One of the things that I took away was Landon Jackson's comment on how each side of the ball is trying to help the other improve. It worries me that it didn't happen last year, but it also was indicative of what the product was on the field, because you had basically two halves in a locker room. And I feel like that mend is starting to happen, where, he was talking about whenever Fernando would, they would take each other on it seemed like all the time during the summer. And so they were in the spring, and they were trying to help each other.
Yeah.
Hey, do this. And I was doing this. And what if we try this? That sort of thing. So there's more camaraderie, but I did like the way that he answered that question.
Yeah, there's definitely more this year than last year. Last year I felt like the defense played pretty well, and then I think at the end of the season they kind of let go of the rope. Yep. They were worn down because they were on the field all the time, but I think also they kind of let go of the rope, whether they meant to or not, or whether they would admit that or not. But I think they were just worn down. I think they just, to some degree, I think they let go of the rope. Against Missouri and Auburn, I just felt like that. The point was, look, we're going to go out here and bust our butts. The offense is not going to move the ball. Mm-hmm. We're going to be on the field all the time.
Yeah.
They probably got worn down, no doubt about that. But I think somewhat they kind of let go of the rope too, and that's very understandable. And the offense just never could get anything going.
Yeah.
And I felt like if Florida was the game where everybody played together, but after the Florida game, you didn't really see the momentum stay with them.
No, it was indicative of what the scoreboard rate. I mean, we didn't have to ask the questions. We saw the scoreboard, and when you look at the scoreboard, I felt like that was. We didn't have to ask if they were letting go of the rope. We could see that it was visibly happening right in front of us, and also with the scrum and on the south end zone there in against Missouri as well. I feel like that was kind of a boiling point of, if you will, a kind of. I don't feel like that they were taking it out on Missouri. It was more of a boiling point in the locker room, and so, but that's something that's not going to. I don't think that we're going to see this year. So, we're going to take a quick, just a quick break here, Otis, and then we're going to jump back into it. We're going to talk a little bit more about some scholarships that and some information from the NCAA that came down. Also, we'll talk about a position group today as well. I want to talk about the running backs and kind of what we might be able to see from them coming out with this new Bobby Petrino offense. So we'll be back here in just a moment. This is the Arkansas Football Report with Otis Kirk here live at Torchys and Rogers. And welcome back here to the live edition of the Arkansas Football Report with Otis Kirk. I'm Jason Pattison here on hogville.net, live here on YouTube and also on Facebook too. Make sure to go over to Facebook, also onto the YouTube channel, like and subscribe. Make sure you get those notifications set up so that whenever we do go live, you can hear us at any time you guys want. Myself and Otis, myself and Dudley, also Kevin. And so make sure to go over there and give us a like so that way you guys can stay up to date on all the information here with our Razorback Sports here on hogville.net, also on hogville.net on the website. So, Otis, we want to talk a little bit about the NCAA decision that Greg Sankey kind of hinted at the first of last week, where there was going to be expansion of scholarships. Not only were expansion of scholarships, it wasn't just one sport, it was across the board. And that, I feel like that was needed just because of the fact that you see the NCAA kind of cherry pick some things that they kind of want, but this time around, this was something that was made across the board because I feel like they had to at this point.
Yeah, it's good to see baseball get full scholarships for everybody.
God, yes.
Softball and all those sports instead of trying to get 34 players into 12.8 scholarships or 12.5, whatever it was. It was crazy. And so, yeah, it's good to see that. It's an even playing field now. Everybody gets full rides, and baseball, but football, yeah, I mean, you get 20 more scholarships. I mean, we'll see if that helps or hurts Arkansas because, I mean, you might see Texas or Texas A&M, some of those schools maybe taking some Texas kids that they wouldn't have taken before, and they wouldn't be available for Arkansas. So, whereas, Arkansas, I don't know. I mean, so it could help or hurt. I don't know. But I do know back when there was unlimited scholarship. Well, it wasn't unlimited, but it was crazy. I remember back in the old Southwest Conference days, Arkansas competed great with them, when Texas could cite 100 kids, and Arkansas still managed to win. So that's not an excuse. I mean, it can still be done, but we'll see how this all plays out. I hope a few more Arkansas kids get scholarships. I hope they take them. I mean, it's one thing to offer Arkansas kids, but if they don't want it and they're going out of state, then it's hard to count on saying offer more kids if the ones you're offering are not taking the scholarships and going to Kansas State or wherever. I mean,
Yeah.
Sorry if that's the way I feel about it. I mean, if if OU's that great or Kansas State or or wherever, then so be it. Find them out of state that want to play for the Razorbacks.
Yeah. So what was proposed and what's going to happen is that as of next year, you're going to have 105 scholarship players. It's going from 85 to 105. Also, I don't know how that's. You and I were talking about this before the show. We don't know how that's going to impact red shirts, or not red shirts, but sorry, gray shirts, and also just walk-ons as well. Because I mean, you can't take the walk-ons away. Walk-ons in college football are the fabric of college football, because those are the people who want to be there because they're not getting paid to do that. They are showing up there just for the love of the game and the school.
I don't know. Honestly, I've seen that talked about how they might do away with walk-ons, but I don't know how you can tell a kid that wants to pay his own way and come to school, whether it's Arkansas or somewhere else, he can't do it. I mean, I don't know how I don't know how you can enforce that. I mean, you got a kid that is going. Let's say he's going to the University of Arkansas. He wants to play football. He wants to walk on. And if he gets cleared by the coaches to try out and stuff, and I don't know how the NCAA can tell somebody you can't do it if they're paying their own way, and I don't know how you can do that. I don't know. I think they're opening a can of worms there if they try to do away with walk-ons. I just think there's some legal. Maybe I'm not a lawyer, but I think there's some legal grounds there if somebody really wanted to push the issue. That I don't know if they can legally do that, Jason. I don't know if they can. I mean, honestly, we'll see. But I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I don't. I mean, if somebody wants to pay their own way and go to school and wants to play football and they get cleared by the coaching staff to do it, it'd be hard for me for the NCAA to justify telling them they can't do it.
And another thing too, and the reason why I want to bring this up, a friend of mine that works at Arkansas State, his name is Marcus Carlton, him and I were kind of going back and forth. He's at a conference in Lexington, Kentucky right now. And they were talking about how the NCAA has their 501c3 status, correct? They have their tax-exempt status as a charity, as a charitable organization, I should say. And if the NCAA football Power Four want to break away, they would lose that status because they would not be under the NCAA law at that point. They would be on their own. So they would be taxed as a commercial entity instead, which means that they're going to be paying taxes at the yin-yang, which they do not want to do right now. The only way, and so him and I were kind of talking about this a little bit, and I said, I think the only way that they could do that is if the Power Four football conferences made their own conference and broke away from the NCAA, and then had a tax-exempt status like the NFL does, and the PGA, and also the NFL. They're a 501c6, which means that they partner with charitable donation nonprofits, like you see with the Cowboys and the Salvation Army and so on and so forth. That could be something that could be in the future, but for the immediate time, the Power Four conferences, they are not going to be going away from the NCAA.
I mean, that stuff there, that's over my head. I'm not into, I don't know, Jason. I mean, to be honest with you, I hadn't thought much about it, but that's for who's exempt and who's not. I mean, there's a lot of legalities to cross there, and it's like I said, it's really above my head, above my pay scale. I just don't, I mean, you're going to get into a lot of problems, and when you get into stuff, all this stuff probably going to end up, if it doesn't go the way they want, it's going to end up in court, and we'll see how all this plays out eventually. And I don't know. I mean, I haven't studied enough to know or even really talk about it that much. But I mean, it's stuff that I just hadn't thought that much about it, to be honest with you. But anything where I know they've discussed that about whether they pay taxes or not, but it's all going to end up in court one day anyway. I mean, it's going to be challenged one way or the other. Somebody's not, unless everybody's happy with it, somebody's going to challenge it, and it'll end up in court. Who knows then? When something ends up in court, you don't know how it's going to turn out.
and I don't think I've ever heard the sentiments of the NCAA and everybody being happy or true.
Right.
I don't know when the last
Yeah,
time
that's
that
what-
happened either.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't. And once, like I said, once something goes to court, I don't think you can sit there and say, well, it'll end up this way or that way, because then you got to. There's too many variables. So I don't know, man. I honestly don't. I hadn't even ventured down that road because I mean there's too many variables there. It's just too many for me to say one way or the other, and it's just
Let's get back in your wheelhouse and I want to bring this up too, because Arkansas is starting to have. You see Sam kind of starting to get some guys turn in for that 25, the 2025 class. Has there been any updates over the last few days on kids that he's able to might be seeing either signing or have a possibility of Arkansas snagging also?
Well, I mean, Lionel Prudhomme's going to announce tomorrow between Arkansas and Mississippi State and Ole Miss, the lineman Captain Shreve down in Louisiana, and then you got some other kids going to make decisions here pretty quickly, and they did pick up Nigel Pringle this week from Houston North Shore cornerback.
Yeah,
and so they're Nelson McGuire is going to announce on the 31st. That's coming up. Just a lot of linemen and cornerback, and you do have a big prospect, or not a prospect day. It's a picnic Saturday, but they've got a bunch of recruits on campus. And I've got a list of them on Hogville.
Okay.
Houghton Yarborough is going to be here. I think as good a player as there is in the class of 2026 from Durant, Oklahoma. Grayson Wilson's going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a bunch of good players. I've got a list on Hogville. But had a story this week. But there's going to be some really good prospects here Saturday for the picnic. It's a prospect day. It's sky's the picnic, and they'll play games and stuff. It's a good chance to get kids after a month-long dead period. It's good to get these kids on campus and get them checking out the U of A.
Yeah, and anytime we get any information on recruits, make sure to also hop over to hogville.net and also the Kirk's Corner.
Yeah.
That way that you can see all of the up-to-date information that Otis has with all the recruits here for football with Arkansas.
The list is on Kirk's Corner over there on Hogville, and there's been a couple additions to it, but there's a kid from Oklahoma coming, top defensive back over there. I can't think of his name, but he's coming. I think Austin Adams or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But he's coming with Yarborough, and but that Houghton Yarborough is just a big. And his grandmother. I'm pretty sure he told me last year his grandmother graduated from the University of Arkansas. She went to the University of Arkansas, and I think he said she graduated, but his grandmother attended Arkansas, Yarborough. So they've got a little bit of family tie there. If they could get him, you talking about an edge. You talking about a kid that can come in and take Landon Jackson's place. That's a high school kid that could do it. He's a difference maker. He's a 4-star. He should be a 5-star. But I don't know if there's a better high school player in America than him in the 26th class. I really don't. And I'm not saying Arkansas will get him. I'm just saying that whoever gets him getting one hell of a player, man.
So Rusty Henry on Facebook, on YouTube, asked you a question. Says, "Hey Otis, is Charlie Collins going to get any play this year?"
Yeah,
Playing time.
Yeah, it'll be tough, but I think he will. Barring injuries, they're pretty well set there in the top 4. But I think Collins and Kavion Henderson both could get some playing time. But I think when you'll see them really step up is the 2025 season. The 25 season, when I think you'll see Collins and Henderson really step up. Because right now, barring injuries, if Jackson and some of the kids go down, they're up there on the top 2. Then, Collins can play.
Yeah.
He can play, but I don't know that he will get extensive action until the 25 season. Then I look for him to really make a move. Then he and Kavion Henderson both. I like them. Yeah, Collins is a good ball player, man. Good kid too. Really good kid.
I want to go back to recruiting for just a second because I saw something earlier on Twitter today. It was a post from Eric Mateos, and he was posting some stuff about Bear McWhorter. Bear had committed to Arkansas, then here just recently decommitted.
Yeah.
But it still looks like that Eric Mateos and Arkansas are still hot on the trail with him.
Yeah, they're not. They're going to keep recruiting him. It's just like I said the other day about kids commit to Arkansas, other schools are not going to back off of him. Just like I've said about Curious Kern and others. Arkansas is not going to stop recruiting those kids just because they committed to LSU or somewhere. I mean, they're still going to put a letter of intent in front of him in December, and they're going to recruit him hard.
Yeah.
And, if he's committed to LSU, but that doesn't mean that's where – I'm not saying Kern won't sign with LSU. I'm just saying that Arkansas is not going to stop – it's not going to stop recruiting him.
Yeah.
And so we'll see where he signs in December. But they are going to put a letter of intent in front of Curious Kern, and they're going to recruit him hard between now and then. But, I mean – Barry McWhorter, he decommitted, but he at one time he felt strong enough for Arkansas to take out a message, a sign, billboard. Yeah, thank you. A billboard saying he wanted to be a Razorback. Please recruit me, and and I think some of this recruiting's gone to his head a little bit. So he's, he decommitted. You hate to see a kid, go that route, but Arkansas is going to keep recruiting him. They're not going to stop. I mean. And just like no one stopped when he was committed to Arkansas, nobody stopped recruiting a kid. And that's what I'm saying. When a kid commits, everybody thinks, or decommits, they think, well, he's gone. Not necessarily, because as I've said about Curious Kern, they're not going to stop recruiting that kid. They haven't stopped recruiting. And there will be a letter of intent from Arkansas. I'm sure Missouri will put one in front of him in December. So they're going to, and he may sign with LSU. I haven't said he won't. I'm just saying Arkansas is not going to stop recruiting that kid just because he committed somewhere else. And it's the same way with the receiver from Florida and other kids. Other schools are not going to stop recruiting those kids because they're committed to Arkansas.
Yeah.
Tavion Wallace, Florida State, and Georgia, and Florida still going to recruit him.
They're going to come after him. Yeah.
But Tavion Wallace will be here Saturday, by the way. That's why I didn't mention he will be at the picnic.
Okay.
And that's huge. Getting him, he's paying his own way up here. So that's huge. All these kids are paying their own way, or somebody paying it for them. The U of A can't. He came on an official visit, so the U of A can't pay his way up here. So he's getting here at somebody's expense, whether he's paying her parents or coach or whoever. But regardless, Tavion Wallace is coming here on his dime to see the university again, and that's huge, man.
It is.
I should have mentioned him a while ago. I forgot about him, but Tavion Wallace is huge, yeah.
So Jeremy Knapp on YouTube, sorry. Blank there for a second. He said, the University of Arkansas, are they going to offer Cash Archer?
Well, it depends on how he plays at linebacker. I think they should. I've said that. I can't sit here and say, they will. Them and a lot of schools are looking at him to see how, he played defensive end last year. He's not big enough to play defensive end in college at the SEC level, but he's good enough. And my honest opinion is, here's what I've said about the Greenwood kids, and I'll say it again. If there's any doubt, I give the Greenwood kids the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
You take, other than Tyler Wilson and Connor Nolan, really those kids were not highly recruited. Drew Morgan was a 2-star.
Yeah.
Grant Morgan was a walk-on. Lucas Miller was a walk-on. I don't know how many people remember him, but I'm just telling you.
Great wide receiver.
These kids come up here from Greenwood, they turn out.
Yeah.
And some of these schools don't have that kind of success rate. But if there's any question in my mind, I'm going to give a bit of the doubt, not just Cash Archer, but Cody Taylor too. And Cody will be here Saturday, by the way, the offensive lineman at Greenwood. But I can't say for sure they will, but I think he'll play well at line. I saw him play linebacker, not just at the Arkansas camp, but in 2 7-on-7 games this summer. I saw him play 2 at Alma, and I was impressed with him. They're worried about his speed. He ran a 4.7, 4.72 or something at the Arkansas camp. 4.7 plus. It was just over 4.7. And he ran the same thing at Missouri's camp. And I think that's what schools are looking at, that 40 time. But Cash is a smart player. Like I said, I'd offer him. But to answer your question, we'll see if Arkansas does. I can't say for sure they will. But they're definitely watching him. And I think he stands a good chance of getting an offer.
And also, too, even though if you run a 4.7, it does the instincts that you possess can negate speed sometimes.
He's got football savvy, because I'm telling you that kid. You could ask the kid at Little Rock Christian, the quarterback, 4-star down there last year that went to Auburn.
Oh, Walker White.
Yeah, you can ask Walker White about him. He stayed in that backfield both games they played Little Rock Christian. Yeah. He wreaked havoc on Walker White. Cash has got football sense, man. Just football instincts. And that's going to help him at linebacker. It doesn't matter where you play, but I think it'll help him more at linebacker than it did defensive end football instincts because a lot of linebacker, I think you've got to make that decision, make it real quick.
Yeah.
And I think the more Cash plays there, he'll get more comfortable. And so I think by the third game, the fourth game of his senior season, senior season,
Yeah.
I think you will see him playing pretty well there, hopefully. And I think Arkansas, if he does, Arkansas should offer him. I think they're making a mistake if they don't. I'll just say that right up front. I think Arkansas, and I tell them that. They don't care what I think, but I would tell Arkansas right now they would be making a mistake if they don't. They are making a mistake if they don't offer Cash.
And also another thing too, and I know in the past it seemed like you always were offering one brother to get another brother. This is not the case.
No,
This is not the case at all.
No. I mean, they're not going to offer Cash to get Kane or, no. If Cash gets an offer, it's going to be because Cash deserves an offer. I mean, that's not going to factor into it. I mean, it would help them with Kane to offer Cash, but they're not going to do that. They're not playing that game. But I do think it will be a mistake if they don't offer Cash. I just say that. And I'm talking about Cash on his own accord, not because of Kane or anything else, because of his own ability.
Yeah. So I want to turn the page here just a little bit, and I want to talk about a position group tonight that Arkansas has that I feel honestly is very imperative of them succeeding this year that will lead into Arkansas success possibly this year. We saw glimpses of it last year. It's with the running back room. I know that we've got a list of running backs. There's a list of running backs out there as well. But there's three in particular that I want to talk about. And I want to talk about Rashad Dubinion, Jaquindon Jackson, and Braylon Russell. Those are the three that are pretty much kind of penciled in as your top three running backs.
That's three good ones.
Three dang good ones at that.
Mm-hmm.
And with Bobby Petrino's system, there are a lot of options because I don't think that you're going to see Rashad Dubinion line up. You'll see him line up in the backfield, but I don't think that you're going to see him spend a lot of time lined up whenever the ball snapped in the backfield. I think that he's going to be used a lot in the slot this year.
Yeah. Braylon Russell's got good hands too. A lot of people don't know that. Braylon got really good hands to catch football. I'm not as sure about Jaquindon. I think he can, but I know Braylon Russell can catch football. I just know he can. And I think Rashad will be fine there too. Yeah, you're going to move him around, but I do think that Arkansas is setting really good with those three guys, and I think the kid from Florida State's a good fourth one, Rodney. So I think they're setting pretty good at running back. And but yeah, I mean, you lost. What did they lose? 4 or 5, 3 or 4 to the Portland. You talked about the linebackers they lost, but they lost. Yeah. You lost AJ Green. You lost Rocket. You lost Dominic Johnson. And it seemed like there was somebody else left. I know 3 left.
So Dominic Johnson,
Rocket, and AJ Green.
AJ Green, and then also a kid that went to Colorado. I cannot remember his name off the top of my head.
Yeah. Okay. The kid that left right after the spring game.
Yes.
Yeah, the kid from Florida. Okay, yeah. So they lost 4. That's what I was thinking. They lost 4. So everybody talks about the linebacker, but I really think the running back room is going to be better. I think Jaquindon has got a chance to be better than Rocket. We'll see. I mean, that's pretty tall language. I'm saying because Rocket left. That's not sour grapes. I just love Jaquindon Jackson. I think he is one tough son of a gun down there on the goal line.
Dude.
I think he can. Yeah. I mean, you put him inside that red zone, he's going to be hard to keep out of there. Well, I asked him at the spring game, I said, if they give you 4 carries inside the 10, can you score? Can they stop you? And he said no. And so, I mean, he just flat out said no. He didn't hesitate or anything. I asked him that question. So, I mean, that's where he really impressed me. He's just a tough runner. Braylon, just a big kid. He's got speed, size. And then you talked about, Dubinion. We've seen him, and, I just think that they're sitting pretty good there. I don't think – they may not be better than they were last year. I think they're as good, though. I don't think they're going to be – just like I don't think there will be a big drop-off at linebacker. I'm not saying they've got someone as good as Chris Pupal. Yeah. I'm not saying they got somebody that good, but I think as a whole, I think they're better off than they were last year as a group.
Yeah.
I think the group is better than the group. They may not have some. I don't think they've got anybody as good as Chris Paul, but I think they've got a better group of linebackers than they had last year as a group, and that may be the case with running backs too.
And another name that we kind of saw a flash at the very first game of the season at the very end was Brad Spence.
Yeah.
And he got some playing time. He also got a lot of playing time on special teams, which that's how you start to, make your bones as a freshman and as a sophomore, getting more playing time, getting on special teams, and then working your way in. And I think that that's what Brad Spence has done. I think that he could be a standout with Xavier Sorey.
Yeah, and I love Stephen Dix Jr., Larry Worth. I think Carson Dean's going to get his chance. The linebacker, from Oxford's going to get a chance.
Alex Sanford.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get to see the Bradley Shaw and Dwight Simmons last spring. They'll be here. They came in the summer. There were I think there were 4 kids that wasn't here in the spring, and that's 2 receivers and those 2 linebackers I just talked about. I know Cross Johnson and one of the other receivers they signed late.
Yeah.
Those were the 2 receivers not here, and then Bradley Shaw and White Simmons. I think it's the only 4 kids that weren't here. But Bradley Shaw and White Simmons both got the talent to play early. I don't know if they'll have to. It goes back to the person asked about Charlie Collins. Not that he couldn't play. It's just I don't know if they'll need him to play this year that much. He'll play some. But that goes back to the same thing I just said about these linebackers. They can play. Carson Dean can help that team. But, you're going to be a number game. I do think all 3 of the transfers and Brad Spence will play. And then you go from there. I'd probably put Carson number 5 and then Alex Sanford. I think Caden Henley eventually will help them. So I like the group. We'll just have to see how it all plays out, man.
Bear fan asked, any of those freshmen or redshirt freshman O-line guys stand out to you? Have some gained muscle weight according some have gained muscle according to an article I read.
Well, I love Amarian Harris. I love Amarian Harris. He may be a little bit older than what he's asking about, but I really love him. I think he came in that Liberty Bowl when he was a true freshman, played after not playing much all season, played right guard, been practicing more at tackle. He played right guard, I believe it was, in the bowl game, and played well. And I love Amarian Harris. I don't know that much about the junior college center that they signed last year from Coffeyville. He was hurt a lot. We didn't get to see a lot of him when we were allowed to go to practice. I'm trying to think along those lines, but I feel really good about the starters. Oh, and Tykees Crawford's not a young guy, but he's a guy that you can plug in there and can play. So, I think they've got 8 or 9 kids on the offensive line. 2 kids, Crawford and Harris, I know can play, the 5 starters. And I think they've got some other kids that can come in and help out, and be interesting to see who's made developments out of those younger guys.
All right, so we got the 2-minute warning, Otis. We're just about done with this. And also, again, I want to throw this out there too. This year in college football, the 2-minute warning actually is a 2-minute warning, because at that point you cannot challenge a play unless it comes from the booth. The clock is running. You have to stop it with a snap or a spike or a timeout. And I think that that's also going to improve the college product this year.
Anything moves that clock is good for it. I'm telling you, man. Boy, you take basketball, the last 2 or 3 minutes last eternity.
My gosh.
You want to get away from that in football if you can, because in basketball, I'm stepping on Kevin's turf now, but I'm just telling you, man, it's brutal last 2 or 3 minutes in basketball. If you can get away from that in football, that's a big step for the sport, man. That's a big step forward for the sport. It's crazy how long last 2 or 3 minutes of a basketball. And then I'm a Lakers fan, but it's the same way in the NBA. It gets brutal there the last few minutes of the game.
It's does.
Brutal, man. And if you can get away from that in football, Lord help them, please do it.
I do have a comment from Jeremy Knapp. He says, Otis, are you related to the late Sonny Kirk from Lepanto, Arkansas?
Not that I know of. If I was, he probably wouldn't claim me. But I had Sonny Kirk from Lepanto. Not that I know of.
Okay.
But, not that I know of.
Well, man, Otis, I want to thank you for coming out today.
No problem.
We got some stuff we're going to be doing tomorrow. We're going to be shooting a commercial here at Torchys and Rogers and in Fayetteville. get to finally we're gonna hook up with Marshall Foreman. Sorry, he's gonna be my host over at the Fayetteville Torchies before each home football game in Fayetteville this year. So we're gonna incorporate them in Fayetteville, also here in Rogers, and I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I think we come over, hang out, talk for a little bit, do some shoots, and I think it's gonna be fun.
That's 1 to 2 for us tomorrow.
Yep, 1 to 2 o'clock. We'll be over there, and we'll be around here as well. So, everybody, I want to thank you all for jumping on with us today. And this has been the Arkansas Football Report with Otis Kirk. I'm your host, Jason Patterson, and thank you all for joining us.
Thanks, guys.